Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Okay, fine. I'm audible. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll be starting it up. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we are going to cover the control structures and the functions in Python. Okay. So we have already studied about the if then else control structure, if then else ladder, and then we have also touched the for loop. So I'll start with loops again because we had touched a very minor portion of loops in our last session. So today we will be covering loops in Python, how to control the loop controlling statements, and then we will cover the functions. So the book that I'm referring, I have already shared on the group. This is the prescribed book of VA computer application, but yes, it covers everything that we are required to follow in our syllabus. So let's move. We have done if condition, if then else if ladder, and I had given a few programs about that also. So now let's move to the loops in Python. So basically, loops in Python means loop in any language means a block of code that will repeat to execute until a certain condition is met. As you can see on my screen, loop is what? Loop is a block of code. So suppose I have 4-5 statements which I want to execute repeatedly. So rather than repeating it one by one, like I have some statement that I want to repeat 1,000 times, so I can directly put it in a loop, and my computer compiler will automatically detect that there is a loop. Loop means a continuous loop. In real life also, loop is which has no end. So my statements, my set of block of statements will keep on repeating in a loop until and unless I give a condition that makes it exit from the loop. So in Python, loop are designed to iterate. So generally, whenever I want to iterate over something, for example, there are 10,000 students in my class and I want to print name of each and everyone. Now I have an Excel file in which 10,000 names are stored. What I'll do, I will read that Excel file in my program. I will put a loop and I will say, okay, fine, keep on reading the names until 10,000 students have reached. So this is the beauty of loop, that we can actually execute a block of code for a given number of times. We have multiple types of loop. The very first loop and the very simple loop is for loop. Okay. So for any loop, you need to have a starting condition, a ending condition and a increment condition. Okay. So loop will start from some number. It will end at some number, and how many times it will increment. That is, these are the three important conditions that we require to give for a loop. Okay. For example, on my screen, you can see the syntax of for loop. For is the keyword. Okay, you have to write for. For is the keyword. Then item is a variable. Item can be anything. You can have any item. You can have any variable name X, Y, Z, I, J, K, anything. Then in uh, in means this item will iterate in what? It will iterate in a sequence or a number of times or whatever. So this is the syntax of for loop, wherein we provide that, okay, fine, there is something known as X or item that is going to iterate over a sequence or a number or anything else. We'll see that in example as well. So for example, you can see that there is a list of colors available to me with the name colors. Okay, we have for those who have joined today itself, we have covered the data types, but we are still to cover the list, tuple and data list, tuple, dictionary, etc., the various object data types available in Python that we will cover later on. So currently for the loop purpose, I have just touched the list that this is a list of colors and the name of the list is colors. Okay, so it has red, yellow, green, blue and black. Now I want to print these colors. So one option is I can print color 0, print color 1, print color 2, and it will give me the printing. Or I can simply put a loop and write for color in colors. So this color is a variable name. You can have any name over here, and this is the sequence or the list on which I want to iterate. So let's see it. So those who are new, I work on Spider. You can work on any IDE available. Python has various IDE. Many of them are desktop console version and many of them are uh, online version as well. So it is up to you whatever version you want to use. So we work on Spider because I have Spider downloaded on my system and I really feel comfortable working on it. Okay. So this is another example. Let's say, let's take this example itself. Okay. So I'll have this colors. Okay, I hope my spider screen is also visible.
Yes, madam.
Okay, so because some, in case you find that whatever I'm saying is not in sync to my screen, then please let me know. Okay, so fine. We have colors. So the one option that I told you was I can have this. I can print it as colors. Let's say color number 0. Let's check it if it prints something. Okay, yeah, fine. In some system, this double quotes is not taken. So I need to take a single quote. Okay. So this is the settings of my system. But it makes no difference referring double quotes or single quotes. So in theory exam, if you are writing double quotes or single quote, both will be acceptable. Okay, this is just a system setting, so it does not affect that much. So I have two colors, red and yellow. I can add one more. Let's say blue. So now if I want to print 3 colors, I will have to write print statement 3 times. Or what can I do? I can simply write for any variable, let's say I in, what is the name of the list? It is colors. So I will mention the name of the list. So for I in colors, I want to print, what I want to print? I want to print I. So now what will happen? Since I have written a for loop, and since I have told for loop that I want to iterate over a list. So for loop, this I will start from 0. Okay, it will go to the 0th element, whatever is there, it will print. Then it will go to first element, whatever is there, it will print, and so on. So as you can see, let's see if this works. So on the right side of my screen, you can see that red, yellow, blue are printed. So by default, it iterated over the whole list. Okay. So this is one example. Let's see the earlier loop that was written. Okay. So we can remove this basically. So this is a loop that is going to print something. Let's see what it prints. I'll enter number 4. So it has printed a pattern. So what I had actually given, I told the loop that I want to enter a number. So the number was 4. So I gave him the number of rows. Num is the number of rows. So I said, okay, I want a pattern in 4 rows. And the pattern is there will be 1 hash, then 2 hash, then 3, then 4. Whatever is the number of row, those many hashes will come. So this is the simplest loop. We call it nested loop. Why? Because we have two loops. We have a for loop and another for loop inside the for loop. So this second level of loop becomes the inner loop for the first level. So how actually it works for first value of I. So in our case, we had number 4 starting from number 1. So this is my start range. This is my end range. And why I have given number plus 1? Because I had told in last class also that the last index is not added. So if I get only 4, it will not give me 4 rows, it will give me 3 rows. If I write only number. See, if I do not give, let's see if this works or how it works. So see, I had given 4 rows, but I got only 3 because the last index is not included. So it is always last minus 1. So the loop will run starting from start till end minus 1. So I had to give a plus over here. Now, what exactly this loop is doing? It is working for I is going from 1 to 4. And for each I, when I is 1, j is going from 1 to I plus 1. So on my first pass, j is going from 1, I plus 1 is 2, and it will go from 1 to 1. So it will put 1 hash. Okay. Let's run it for 4. Or let's run it for 5 and then see this example. So I gave number 5. So for 1, J, that is the column that were printed was first column. First column was printed and then I put it a space and then I found out that J is over because J had to run from 1 to 1. So J is over. So for the first row, I just put it, it just printed first column and it came out of the loop. Out of the loop, it find that I had to print a new line. So it went to a new line. So this is my second line. Now the value of I will increment by 1. So initially it was 1. Now it will become 1 plus 1, that is 2. Why 1? Because by default the increment is 1 unless and until you provide an external increment. So now the value of I became 2. So the range of j will refer from 1 to I plus 1, that is 2 plus 1, that is 3. So the ultimate range on which j will work is from 1 to 2. So it will print 2 times. In the second row, it has printed 2 hashes and then it went to the next row and so on. So this is called a nested loop. So these are the types of this is the for loop that we can have. Now I can use this for loop for anything, dictionary, tuple, list, or a range of numbers. So it is up to you whatever question you have to print a range of numbers or whatever. Let's take one more example in which I want to add number, print sum of let's say 10 numbers. first 10 numbers, 10 natural numbers. So how will this work? Since I have to iterate over 10 numbers. So one option is I can print 1 plus 2 plus 3 and so on up to sorry up to 10. Okay, that is one thing I can do. I can print this is 55. The other good method is I can do a loop for I in range 1 to 11 because I have to print 10 numbers. So it will start from 1. Why I need to give 1? Because by default it will start from 0. So I do not want to start from 0. I want to start from 1. And I have to sum up till 10. So 10 needs to be included in my loop. That is why I have to give a value bigger than 10. So I gave 11. Okay. So now, as per the syntax, we have to put colons. After putting colons, we tell the compiler that, okay, fine. The lines after colon are the lines which will be my block. So this is my block. Okay. Now I will write print. No, I do not want to print each line, right? I want to sum. So I'll say sum equals to sum plus I, wherein I can have let's take S, not sum, because see, the color of sum is purple. Sum is a reserve keyword. So let's avoid the reserve keyword. Okay. So what I have done, I have added whatever comes to I have added it to S and saved it in S. So ultimately it will run for 10 times and save the value. I need to print the value only once. So that is why I'm printing it outside the loop. So when I press this, see, initially whenever I take an enter, I am shown to be inside the loop. Okay. So to come outside the loop, I have to level up. So this is putting a tab and coming out of this. So whatever comes with level 2, 4 is outside the loop. So I have printed S. Let's see. So the answer is 55. Okay, we can write it. Sum from loop. So it will show you that the simple sum and sum from loop both is 55. So okay, this is the easiest way to do this rather than writing all the pluses. So loop can be utilized anytime whenever you require. Okay. Now what kind of questions may come to you? You can get a question to program a pattern, write simple loops. Okay, for your syllabus, only simplest loops will come. Moreover, checking your knowledge about the loop, then testing your logic. Okay, we for a syllabus like PGDADLM, we do not want to test your logical output because we understand that you're not a CS background student. But we will definitely want to test your knowledge about the loop. So we can ask you to iterate over a list or give me a simple pattern. Okay, to test that whether you know about nested loop or not. So these are the things. Next loop that we have is while loop. While loop does the same work as it is run by for loop. So it is just an alternate to for loop. Okay. In this also, you iterate over a block of condition. The only difference is that rather than for, you write while and you give condition. So till the condition is met, the loop will execute. And when the condition is over, the loop will come out of it. See, for example, I have a count variable that has a value 10. So you have to give a loop variable. Loop variable is important both in for and in while. So here I is the loop variable that I give. Okay. So I can start for the same question. I'm doing it with the for loop. Sorry, while loop. I'll start with 1 because I want the sum from 1. Then what is my condition? My condition is it should be less than equal to 10. Okay. So in this case, I can give 10 because I'm writing the condition that it should be less than or equal to. So it will consider the equal to part as well. So I gave the condition. So this is my condition. Now what I want to add. So I will just add, let's say we have a variable s equals to 0. I will just say s equals to s plus 1 and I'll put the sum. Just a sec, I guess my spider has hanged. So let's continue. Let it get over it. So here, if you see in this loop, I had a variable count, which I started from 10. And what I said, okay, fine. While count is less than 15, so it will start from 10 and go till 15. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, 6 numbers. I want to print the value of count, and then I want to increment count by 1. Okay, so each time it will get incremented. Okay, yes, my mistake. I did not incremented I over here. So this is the major difference in this in your for loop. The increment is by default, but in while loop you have to give explicit increment statement. So this is my increment statement that I had to provide, because it will not take it by default. Still my Python is hanged. Okay, so let's do it from here itself. I need to print count and increment count by 1. And then I will print outside the loop. Once the loop is over, I am coming outside the loop. So the output will be, for the very first count will be 10, output was 10. Then we incremented count by 1. So count became 11. So output was 11, and so on till 15. Once 15, we reach 15. So this variable tells, okay, fine, I'm equal to 15. Now, after the next increment, it becomes 16. So 16 is not less than or equal to 15. That means the condition becomes false. As soon as the condition becomes false, it comes out of the loop. Okay. So this in this example, you can see that the counter is 5 and we are getting a reverse count. And we have checked the condition that counter should be greater than equal to 0. And my increment is, my decrement is of 2. So you can increment or decrement the value. You can check your condition. You can give any condition. So loop basically depends what exactly is your question. Based on that, you can give a loop value. Now next come to nested loop that we have already touched. In nested loop, we have multiple levels of loop. Generally, for your course, only 2 levels is more than enough. 2 levels से ज़्यादा का loop आपके course में नहीं आएगा. Okay. So we have an outer loop and an inner loop. Outer loop will run for the condition and inner loop will run for whatever you have given. Okay, you may ask inner loop to run with respect to outer loop, as we had done in the example, or we can do it like this. So we are this is an example to print multiplication table of 2 to 5. So you start from 2, you go till 6, because we go to n plus 1. Then the table is 1, 2, 3, 10. 10 times we have to write. So it is 1 to 11. And then you have to print I into j. Okay, so let's see if this program works for us, if the system has retained or not. Let's see. I guess my system has hanged. Okay. Okay, it is hanged for now. So this is the output that we are getting, because we are just printing I into j. So whatever is the answer, that will get printed with the space. And after each table, after the completion of each table, we will get an empty blank line. So see, this is the table of 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then exit. So this is the detailed explanation. You can go through the book for this. Now let's move to the next section, that is loop control statements. Achha, let's do one question. We still have 4 or 5 minutes. I hope I'm audible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please do respond like in between a few times. It feels like I am not audible or you are not present. So let's take this question. It is very crisp question. It is saying find the errors in the following code, if any, and rewrite the code after solving the error. So we have to find if there is an error in the code, and if there is no error, we can actually move on. Let's see. The counter is started from 10. Okay, fine. The initialization condition is met. So we have 3 conditions for loop: start condition, end condition, and increment condition. Okay. In for loop, we can overlook the increment condition because for loop by default has an implicit increment condition. If you do not give anything, it will increment the number by 1. But while loop do not have an implicit increment condition. So if you can see, the counter starts from 10, very good. This is my starting condition. Then the counter is less than 20, less than equal to 20. This is my ending condition, very good. I have to print counter, okay, fine. But I have not given the increment of the counter, right? So what will happen? Each time the counter is 10, it will check the counter is less than 20. Yes, it will print 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and it will keep on printing 10 because the counter is never incrementing. So end will never come. Since end will never come, this loop will become an infinite loop. So such small questions may come into exam. They will definitely, this kind of questions do come. So you can also get the question like what will be the output of the following code. So this is the code, what will be the output? You can see here. Here, okay, fine. For third question, you just need to write one more condition over here. That is counter equals to counter plus 1. You have to increment the counter. You are not incrementing it, the loop will become infinite loop. So this is the updated code. Next, for I in range 5, for j in range 1 to 4. So for 5, what will be I doing? When we have a nested loop, I always told you the outer loop will give you the rows, the inner loop will give you the columns. So for I in range 5, for 5 rows and 4 columns, we are printing the set of numbers. So it will print 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, 1 comma 4. Then not 4, 3. 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3. Then in the next line, it will print 2 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 2 comma 3, so on till 4, 4. So it will give you a small matrix of 4 cross 4. Now let's have a loop control statements. So sometimes we require certain conditions on which I want to exit the loop. But I want to, they are just exception conditions that, okay, fine. I say that if this comes, then we can exit the loop. Otherwise, we have to process it normally and exit normally. So to exit the loop, let's see if it is working now. Yeah, it's working. Perfect. Now let's see why do we need a break statement? So the break statement is used to terminate a loop prematurely. When encountered, it immediately exits the loop. So whenever I give a break, the loop will automatically exit. So why do actually you require break? Suppose you're working on a program in which there are some exceptional condition that should not come. But if a notorious user gives that, what will you do? You have to stop your loop there and then itself. Okay. So let's see here. There is an example. This loop is supposed to count from 1 to 6. It is supposed to go from 1 to 6, but it says that, okay, fine. If the condition comes to be 4 anytime, let's say, mm, so this loop is doing what? It is going from range 1 to 6. So normally it will go from 1 to 6. But if the condition is 4, that is, if I ever get a number 4, it will break. So in this case, obviously it will break at 4. Okay, this is very obvious, except that my system does not takes a double quote. Okay, again, I'm telling this is not the case for every system. This setting is done by me due to some reason. So that is why I have to change. I have to change double quotes to single quote, but this is not a mandatory for like every compiler. Okay, this is mandatory for my compiler because I had changed my setting due to some reason. Now see, so this loop, technically this loop should run from 1 to 5 because I had given the condition 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it should run till 5. But since I have given a break, let's say I break at 3 itself, so it will not be able to run after 3 because I have given a break. Break means whatever you are doing, you have to come out of the loop. Okay. So you have to come out of the loop, whatever you are doing. So break means, okay, fine. I'm done. I'm breaking. Okay. So this condition is required when you actually forcefully wants to come out of the loop, and we generally use it when there is some exceptional condition. For example, I want to compute the I want to start from a range whichever user gives. Let's say I say number given by user. Int input. Let's ask for an input from the user. Enter whatever we give him. Okay, enter something. He will give me something in the number. So I will start the loop. Let's keep I in range starting from number to, let's say, 10. Okay. So now let's say I do not want to have a number less than 0. I do not want to start from a number less than 0. So I can give that if I is less than 0, then you should break. Otherwise, if I is not less than 0, then you have to print I. So what will happen? It will check the condition. See, print I will obviously run. Okay, print I will run. If the condition ever becomes this, that I is less than 0, then the break will work and it will break out of the loop. Otherwise, it will keep on printing. So let's see if I enter the number 4. So it should print from 4 to 9. Sorry. So it has printed from 4 to 9 and it has exited the loop. But suppose I give a number -1. So it will say, no, you cannot give -1. It breaks out of the loop and exits the loop. So this is the usage of break, which you can do as per your requirement. The next control statement that we have is continue. So suppose there are a few conditions on which I want to just continue the loop. So here, suppose I do not want to break. I say, okay, if you give a number less than 0, I will just continue off the loop. Okay, I will just continue. That means I will not do anything. I will not print the number if the number is less than 0. So let's see if this works. I have given -2. So technically it should come -2, -1, 0, and then so on. Let's say what the output comes out to be. See, it will print from 0 because then the number will be -2. It will continue. Then the number will become -1. It will again continue. Then the number will become 0. Then the condition becomes false. If I is less than 0 becomes false, then it will start printing. Is that clear? I hope it is clear.
Ma'am, unless and until we practice, we will not be able
Yes.
to.
See, I totally agree. I totally agree because I can only, because in 1 hour I cannot ask you to start practicing and ask me questions. Okay. But one thing that I can really do, I have talked to your TIC. So I have told them, okay, fine, if you are practicing at home and we can come up with a doubt class somewhere. I think in weekdays you all are very busy. So maybe we can schedule a class. I mean, you yourself can decide and let me know that, okay, fine, we want a doubt class this week in which I will take up your doubts. See, I have to complete syllabus. I have to give you the inputs of the syllabus theoretically as well as showing them on my screen as well. But computers or maths are the subjects which needs your practice. Unless and until you do it, you will not come up with the issue. See, I am doing coding from past 12 years. Still, I get so many errors. Okay, because coding is something we need to practice, keep on practicing, making the logic and all. So I try my best to cover the stage. At least you should not it should not be the case that you start reading from the book and you think कि ये क्या चीज है. I don't know what is this. So the terms should not appear rocket science to you. Okay, that is my first purpose. But yes, you are most welcome. In case you find doubts, you may collaborate. Means 10-15 students may collaborate together and schedule a doubt class with me. I don't have a problem taking that.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am.
I mean, I'm okay to take extra classes also. There is no problem. But for that, you will need to talk to your TIC and come up with the doubts. But yes, for your exam, I think your internal assessment is also taken online, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes. So that is why I will suggest you all that for your exams, moreover, you are required to read the text. So I have given you this book. This is the first book that you should go through. It will give you everything in a nutshell. Okay, so it will make you aware of the terms and terminologies. Then I will also share one more book, that is Python Programming by Sheetal Taneja. That is also a very good book which you can go through if you want to, go a little deeper. But I understand that you all must be working people. So, and from a non-computer background also. So, first thing that I will suggest you is go through this book. Practice these examples only. This is more than sufficient. Okay, because see, you know the example, so it does not matter I give you to print 10 numbers or 12 numbers. If you know how to print two numbers, you can print 10 numbers or 12 numbers. So first of all, go through this book only. Okay, still if you are done with it, you want to learn more, you are most welcome. I can give you more resources, but right now I'm not pooling so many resources because that will confuse you up, and I don't want that you get confused, because this is first time you're doing Python. So this is very sufficient for you. Stick to it, start reading it, start practicing it. Wherever you find a problem, come to me. Okay. I had already told in the last class also that you can write your doubts in the group as well. I can take them up and I can give you the solutions. I can pass you the required solutions on the group as well. So next is a past statement. So the past statement is a null statement. It is frequently used as a placeholder. So why sometimes when we are writing a pseudo code or a model code, then we sometimes write the past statement. Okay, this is not required by the programmers so much. This is just a statement to tell, okay, fine, something will come here, but for now pass it. Okay, so past statement is basically an indication कि यहाँ पे कुछ आएगा. So past statement, this compiler will not read the past statement, it will just pass it. कि okay, fine, later on there may come something. So for past, loops do nothing. Okay, so what it will do, it will pass this statement, and whatever you I mean, it will just pass the loop, so that the whenever we are actually reconsidering the loop, then we can write it. So it is just an indicator. Sometimes there comes a necessity that I want to write a loop, but I don't know what exactly the loop should do. So I will say, okay, fine, the loop is required, but what loop should do will be decided later. So I write it pass. So it is not very frequently used, but it is one of the control statements. So we have three control statements for loops. They are break, continue, and pass. We have studied two loop structures. They are for and while. We have studied one control structure, that is if then else. In if then else, we had already studied three things: if else, and if else if. Okay, so these are the structures that we have done so far. Let's move to the next topic of the day, that is functions. So abhi tak whatever I'm writing, I'm directly writing over on my screen, starting the loop directly. So whatever I'm doing has no functions. But now we will study about the functions. So why exactly do you require function? Functions are basically a set of statement. What we do, suppose we have some interrelated statements which are interrelated to each other, or let's say we call it a block of code. So what we do, we cater, we cover it inside the function. So what exactly is the function? Suppose you are packing your stuff. Okay, you are trying to move out of your place and you are packing your stuff. So while you pack the stuff, what you do generally, the approach is that, okay, fine, the items which are non-breakable are packed into one, or the smaller items are packed into one cartoon, and the items like glass, like crockery, those which may be breakable, are packed into other cartoon. And what we do, we label that cartoon, okay, fine, this is breakable. So the person will handle it with that care. So function basically, functions are the building block whose work is to organize the code. ठीक? And why do we organize this code? Why actually we need it? It is working very fine like that also. Because sometimes we need to reuse the things. Whenever you want to reuse the thing, it has to be organized. Okay. So function is a way of organizing the code so that we can reuse them later. So what do? We club 4-5
Mainly
statements
it is for
together.
preserving, ma'am. Mainly it is for preserving for further use.
Yes,
You want to say
definitely.
that?
Yes. So it is basically what we do. We we block 4-5 similar statements. Obviously, the function should serve a purpose. It is not like you can randomly write any number of statements in a function. It should serve a purpose. So those statements which are serving my purpose are clubbed together and given a name, and that name is called function. So what all the things that can be there in a function should have a name. A function should have a list of parameters that may require. So a list of parameter is optional, it may or may not be there. And a function should have some set of statements that will work. Also, as an ethical practice, we need to put only those statements in function that are usable or relatable to the function. Although you can put anything in the function, but as an ethical practice, we should put the relatable things in the function. So you can see a small code. So this is a function which is printing my first function. So let's see. For example, see, you have already seen some functions which I'm using. Print is a function. Okay. Why? Because see, whenever I write print, it tells me give the value, give the separator, give the end, and so on. Just give me 1 minute. Students, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. So print is a function that is made by Python. Let's make a similar function to print. Okay. So I'll define a function PRT. Okay. What I want some value in it, some variable. And then what I'll do, I'll ask to print that variable. Okay. So now if I call PRT with the value ABC, so it will print ABC. Okay. So now I can use this PRT anywhere, any number of times. I can write PRT 1. It will print 1. Is that okay? So I have created a function like print by using a simple syntax. So you can have any function, you can create any function, and the function may or may not have the parameter list. So parameter list is optional. See, you can write a function which always prints hi, how are you? Yeah, let's say it's a function which always print welcome. Welcome to coding. So whenever you will give a PRT function, you do not need to give anything else. Okay, see, you do not need to give anything else. You just need to call this function. And it will print welcome to the coding. So, Pari, phone उठाओ. So this is called the definition of the function. ठीक है? Definition या header. ये header है. Next, this is the body of the function. You can have any number of statements in the body of function. And this is called calling a function. Calling a function means whenever you are calling this function, because see, if you do not call a function, it will do nothing. Okay, suppose I am writing any number of statement over here. Okay, I'm writing a for loop for I in range 1 to 5, and I say print hi. So I have written a block of code, but I have not called PRT anywhere. So see, welcome will not be printed anywhere. But if I write that, okay, for I equals to 1 to 5 PRT, so it will give me the output as this. So I hope the basic function declaration is clear to you. So this is your function declaration, header, or whatever you call it. This is your basic function declaration. This is your body of function, and unless and until you call a function, it will not work. So there are multiple functions. You can write any function using this syntax. Let's write a function. You have many functions over in your course, this book. So let's write one function for addition. Okay, but before writing a function for addition, let's cover the next thing. So basically in this section, you understood what is a function. Def is a keyword that is required to write a function. If you do not write def, Python will not consider it as a function. So def is a keyword. Then function name could be anything. You can write any name, whatever you suggest, whatever you choose, you can write any name. Then a braces is important. These parentheses tell that how many argument it is taking. Since I have not written anything in the braces, that means it is not taking any argument. Next, let's see how to pass the argument to a function. So if my function is taking an argument, you have to pass it. If you do not pass an argument, it will show an error. So let's run a simple function. Let's take this one itself. So this function is basically calculating the sum A and B, calculating the sum of two numbers. There is a lot of comment section in this function, which I'm deleting. So what it does, whatever you give in A and B, it will just print the sum of those variables. Okay. And I have asked it to print the sum of 10 and 20. See, if I run it, it will just give me the sum of 10 and 20, that is 30. But what if I do not give any parameters? Although the function is taking the parameter, but you are not passing any parameter, so it will show you the error. Okay. Why? Because it says two missing, what it says, see, the error says calculate sum missing two required positional arguments. It says that I have two arguments, A and B, जिसका आपने मुझे variable name दे दिया है, but it has no value because you have not given, right? So you have to give a value over here. Also, similarly, if you give an extra argument, see what happens. It says calculate sum takes two positional argument, but three are given. Now what should I do? Because there are three arguments which you have given. So we just need to give the required number of arguments for the function to execute. So this is called arguments. Okay. This is called function name and this is called define. Define is a keyword which you have to give. Colon is mandatory. Always remember, whenever you are writing a block of code, colon is mandatory. Whatever comes in the tab space of column will be considered a part of function. Whatever comes outside the tab is considered outside the function. So next is positional and keyword arguments. So there are two mechanism of passing the argument. One is positional, other is keyword. Positional argument means you are giving a name to the function. You are giving a name to the parameter, and in whatever position it comes, it will take the input in that order itself. So the order and the number of argument in the function must match in case of positional argument. So here, as you can see, it has clearly written two positional arguments. So what is positional arguments? Because in function, I had written A first and then B. So the order is whatever is the first value will be considered as A. So I gave 10. So 10 will go to A. Then the second value I gave is 2. So it will definitely go to B itself. Okay. So this is positional argument. That is, we should give the same number of arguments which are there, and the mapping will be 1 to 1. First argument will go to first variable. Second argument will go to second variable. This is called positional argument. The other is we have keyword argument. So keyword argument allow the argument to be specified by their corresponding parameters named during the function call. So you do not need to remember the order of the argument. You can directly write the keyword argument and send it anywhere. See here, if you can see in this example, I have a function parameter order, okay, in which I have given three values, A, B, and string. Okay, see, you have in the third invocation against, so you have A, B, and C. Mm, mm. Yes. So it says A and B are the positional arguments which should be given as per their position, and string str is a parameter, your keyword argument. So in the call you can see that you have called the function parameter order, and you have mentioned that string should be this, okay, and whatever you are giving to A and B will go to A and B as it is. So let's run this and find out what is actually happening. Okay. So you have defined a function parameter order in which I do not want this. Okay. So I just want to print sum equals to A and B and print str equals to sum. So let's run it call by call. So in the very first thing, we are actually calling the keyword arguments. Okay. See, I have given the keyword string and I have mentioned here that the string is this and next the argument is this and this. So, sorry. Here, with this example only, it will be very clear to us. Let's see. So as you can see, it says the sum of the arguments is 7, and here you can see the string. Uh, I have the order of the arguments that I'm passing is different from the order that was required. So we had required A, B, and C, A, B, and string, but we are passing some values. Let's see what is the value of A and B which have came here. So I'll print A, comma B as well. So see if you can actually see that first of all, the string has gone to string that we know, but the value of B is 3. You can see the value of B is 3 because I have mentioned that B should get the value 3 and A should get the value 4. So this is one way of passing the keyword argument. That is basically keyword argument is nothing but you have told the compiler, I have 3 arguments, but give this one to this one to this, and so on. So, but for this, you need to remember the name of the parameters that you are using. So here I have given the name that B should contain a value 3, A should contain a value 4, str should contain a value this. So if I give the parameters with the name, then I do not need to follow the order. I can give it in any order. But if you are not giving the name, then you have to follow the order. Otherwise, it will show an error. So this is shown in the example here. This was the example of keyword. So this will work fine because this is positional order. So we have given it in the correct order. Please ignore this error. So we have given it in the correct order. It will give me the right answer. Okay. So the crux is if you are calling a function with the variable name, it is called keyword calling, your keyword parameter. If you're calling the function without the parameter's name, it is called positional calling. In positional calling, the position matters. The name is saying the position, the order matters. In keyword calling, the order does not matter. It will map using the keyword. Is that clear? So these are a few important points. First of all, when making a function call, keyword argument should come after the positional argument. Okay, so you can call both of them. That's very okay. But you have to give the positional argument first. So for example, I'll give you a mixed calling example. So the function is param order, in which for the first value for A, I want to give value 5. So I'll give it in the order. Then I want to give the string, which is equals to HHH. And then I want to give the value of A to B. Let's see if this works. So see, A has got a value 5, string has got this. So whatever is if you are not providing the name of the variable, the keyword is not there, then you have to provide the right position. For example, I want to give something in A, right? Let's see. I want to fix B to 5, and then I can give 8 to A. So it is saying that the positional argument follows the keyword. Okay, so what it exactly the thing is, it's saying that you cannot put a positional argument, or you cannot write a keyword argument before the positional argument. So this is what it said. When making a function call, keyword argument should always come after the positional argument. But here I called a keyword argument before the positional argument because this confuses your compiler. So there are a few exceptional conditions which you can go through. Okay, default argument we will cover in the next session. That is the last thing, I guess, which is left. Okay. So we will cover the default argument and the scope of variable in our next session. We will wind up it here only. I'll give you a few questions to do, which you can do and practice. And I'll share the book that I'm saying, the Python programming book, which is a more a more explained book. But yes, I will suggest you, if you are very new to the language, please go through this book first, because it has crux of everything. So this book explains everything in a nutshell, and once you go through a topic, you can then refer other books. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for the class. Then I'll leave the session, and I'll share the book and other things with you. For the doubts, you
No
can always approach me on WhatsApp or Teams. Okay.
questions, where will you be
I'll
sharing?
be putting it in the WhatsApp group only.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, some of the students are under your group for the project work.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. You
how to
those who are under my project group, please connect to me personally. Or you all can make a group and add me to that group. Okay. My number is on WhatsApp. You can add me using that number. Okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you.